Okie dokie. Alright, so are we on? Alright, not yet. We're about to be on. Let's move this a little further down. Beautiful. Move that over here. And we will be good to go shortly. So we're live. Alright, we're pretty. Are we good? Yeah, we're on. Beautiful. G'day folks, once I get someone to message us on the chat, we'll get started. I just want to make sure that we're on and good to go and you're hearing me. Once we've got that, we can get started. Yep. Oh, looks like it's all good. Ah, beautiful. Thanks, Amber. Thank you. That makes sure that we're being heard. Beautiful. All right. G'day folks, Chris Nitso, lead forecaster with Weather IQ, and today we've got a few things we've got to look at. So the first one, obviously the big one, the NTWA low, that's going to be a significant feature into the next week for both the NT for the next few days and then the Kimberley as well, and then potentially the Pilbara longer term as well. So that's our main topic tonight. We also need to talk about a little news signal out there in the northeastern Coral Sea, just a very weak low or trough that's going to come in towards the far north Queensland coastline towards the end of the week into the weekend. Nothing too much to be concerned about there, but it is something we will need to keep monitoring throughout the week just to make sure that it doesn't do anything silly. And on top of that, we might kick off talking about the fairly significant trough coming across from northern New South Wales into southeast Queensland. We'll get rid of that one first because that one's pretty important. It's about to happen in the next 24 hours or so. So really important here that we're very aware of this really strong wind change that's coming up the coastline from northeast New South Wales in through southeast Queensland over the coming couple of days, or coming 24 hours. So this happens 4 a.m, 7 a.m. You can start to see there's a bit of a southerly. It's pretty weak at the start. And then as we get into 10 a.m, and then 1 p.m, look at how strong those winds become. So you can see really strong wind change coming through southeast Queensland tomorrow that you do need to be aware of. 30 to 40 knot gusts are expected, maybe even up to 50 knot gusts in offshore waters. So it's a really significant wind change. This isn't just your usual little southeaster coming through. This is a serious wind change and the possibility for damaging winds around the border areas in the high country of the Gold Coast hinterland and around the exposed sections of the coastline tomorrow. So very strong winds, and as I say, potential there for up to 50 knot wind gusts developing through the afternoon into the evening tomorrow across southeast Queensland. So definitely a day to be avoiding the waters. It will be a very dangerous day out there. Okay, so make sure that you are not on the water, and if you have friends or family that are planning to be on the water tomorrow, that they maybe rethink those plans, or they get out as early as possible in the morning and get back as early as possible in the morning before this southerly hits them, because it's going to hit them pretty violently. All right, so that's our first topic of conversation. Obviously, with that will come the risk of some showers and isolated thunderstorms. At this stage, we're looking at early onset showers and thunderstorms across southeast Queensland at the leading edge of that change, and then we're expecting to see more powerful thunderstorms as we move further inland and further north. So these ones here that don't form until the afternoon, these ones are going to be the real deal out here. Very, very significant. If we take a look at the Access Sea Southeast Queensland model for this area, we can see this very significant, firstly we'll have a look at the storms, and you'll see there very significant storm potential. Actually the brand new one should be just coming out. All right, so the brand new one's showing us this, yep, there it is there. So see that southerly change coming through? So straight through from northern New South Wales, 9 a.m, 10 a.m, 11 a.m, 12 p.m. So you can see it's really early onset storms and showers for the southeast corner, and then the expectation is the more powerful thunderstorms as such are likely to form up here in the high country of the Wide Bay Burnett, and potentially the high country further to the west, as well as out towards the southern Central Highlands and the northern parts of the Darling Downs. So these are going to be really powerful thunderstorms on the leading edge of that southeasterly change that's coming up the coastline. So really, really important that we're aware, firstly, for boaties, extremely hazardous conditions tomorrow. Stay off the water. And not just boaties, anyone who's working at heights tomorrow, stay out of that height. Don't work at heights tomorrow if you can avoid it, especially after lunchtime tomorrow. The expectation, though, these thunderstorms here, very, very powerful little beasts with very strong winds anticipated. Now, those thunderstorms will continue firing into the night, okay? So you can see them pushing up towards the Springshore Emerald area overnight tomorrow night, and the expectation is that they'll be able to keep firing through the night. In the wake of the big southeasterly, you're going to dry out through southeast Queensland. We'll see some showers extend up to central Queensland, and that southeasterly will push showers back into North Queensland. Alrighty, so that's that particular system, and once again, the big thing to understand here is going to be the damaging wind gusts that will occur with this system, particularly in coastal water areas. Like, look at those wind gusts there. We're talking about gusts that are up around the 50 knot range, maybe even slightly higher than that. So that's about 80 to 90 kilometres an hour, and maybe even little isolated pockets out here that could see up to 100 kilometres an hour offshore. On the mainland, probably maxing out at about 35 to 45 knot gusts, unless you're on a mountain range. On the mountain range, you might be able to get those 50 knot gusts as well. Very, very windy, very hazardous for boaties, and very dangerous if you're working at heights. So please be aware of all those things if you're in the population centres of southeast Queensland tomorrow, with the strong change coming up the coast. Alrighty. And you can see, by the way, that extends up towards the Fraser Island area and through the Fraser coastline as well. So we do see an easing of those winds to some degree overnight on Monday night into Tuesday morning. Alrighty. Let's go over to the Coral Sea, and actually we'll kill two birds with one stone here, and let's have a look. By the way, folks, for those of you that don't know, we've got our major sponsor on the top left there on your screen, Fair Dinkum Builds, Townsville. So if you're in the market for a shed safe accredited shed, check them out. And for those of you that aren't members yet, please have a think about joining our membership service. We have a membership service called a subscription service, or the iWall service. It costs $32.95 a year to get all my forecasts. Today was an easy day for me. I think, how many forecasts did we do today? Wouldn't have been too many today, I don't think. What did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forecasts today. That's an easy day. So they'll be about the same tomorrow. Tomorrow's an easy day as well. So just be aware, when we do have very significant weather all around the nation, I will, in the northern half of the nation, I will cover that, and we tend to see 10 or 11 forecasts a day on those days. But for the next few days, touch wood, they're going to be easy days. We might get a few more difficult days later on in the week. So consider that if you do like what we do, and you do appreciate these live updates, and you do have the funds. $32.95 a year gets you the basic membership. You can join quite a few thousand subscribers that we've got now. Thank you to those of you who are new and who have joined us recently. All right, let's have a look now. We have, tropical low located around the central NT. That system will slowly move west, and I mean slowly. When I say slowly, I mean slowly. It's going to slowly move west over the course of the next 48 to 72 hours. By Wednesday, it will probably still be in the NT side of the border until about Wednesday afternoon night. All right, once we get into Wednesday night, it should have crossed over to the Kimberley. As we go into Thursday, that system then accelerates towards the west and gets off the coast potentially Thursday night, or Thursday through the afternoon, night, or early Friday morning period. Gets off the coast around the Broome area, maybe as far south as 80 Mile Beach and as far north as the Mitchell Plateau, but more likely in the Broome, Derby, King Sound region. It'll be coming west from there. And from there, we're expecting to see a west-southwest motion and down towards eventually the Pilbara as we get into the weekend. The other system over here is a Coral Sea low-pressure system. At this stage, it's a pretty weak signal. We're not anticipating anything too strong to form, but the dynamics there for the next few days are a little bit more interesting. They become less interesting as the week goes on and the system moves out of there. But there is a chance there of a low pressure system forming, about a 60% risk of a low forming there in the next couple of days. And that low will be slow moving for the first couple of days and then we'll start moving westwards at the back end of the week. And you can see here that as we move into Friday, it's starting to push westwards. Saturday, it'll push westwards a little faster. And if it comes onto the coast, it'll come onto the coast sometime on Sunday or Monday. About a 30% risk of it coming onto the coast. We're not overly concerned, so before we stress out a bunch of Queenslanders north of Townsville, we're not overly concerned about the intensity of this system. It's more so how much rain will it be able to produce for that North Tropical coast and maybe the Herbert coast. If we can get a nice little trough in there, we might be able to snag a couple of hundred, maybe 300-400 even millimetres out of something like that. If we don't get it as a trough onto the coast and it just sort of hangs about offshore, we might minimise that rainfall to say 100 millimetres on that section of coastline. Let me give you an idea quickly of what that looks like and then we'll talk about the main event, eh? All right. So we're going to use the Cairns overlay here. I think that'll be the easiest one to try and capture the most of North Queensland in it. Right, we can see here. No, we can't, not yet. Got a fair bit of rain up there around Cooktown, which is pretty cool. Right, now, let's have a look at this thing. So we're anticipating very slow development. It's not even on your screen there at this stage. So you can see by Tuesday, we're just seeing some showers and some isolated storms in the region. Nothing to do with that, anything that we're about to talk about. As we go into Wednesday, more of those showers and storms in the region. Once again, nothing to do with what we're about to talk about. As we go through Thursday, we see continuation of showers and storms in the region, but we just start to see a little bit of an increase on the coastline as we go into Friday morning. Now, this is where our little low starts to come in towards the coast. So this is our little low is coming in towards the coast. Where is he? There he is. There he is. And he comes in pretty quick, all right? So he doesn't muck around. When he's on the way west, he's on the way west, and he'll come in quick. So he'll be moving at 20, 30 k's an hour. It won't be one of those ones that just stuff around, not knowing where it wants to go. It's just going to go west. All right, so you can see there that the system comes onto the coast, possibly anywhere from about Cape Melville down to Tully at the moment is our thinking. I'll give you a look quickly at the models shortly about that. And you can see there on the south side of the circulation, there's a bit of wind, and I'm sure there'll be some fairly heavy rain on the south side. But the system's moving west very quickly as it comes in. All right, so you're not going to see a prolonged period of heavy rain here. It's just going to be a big burst of heavy rain, and then she's done and dusted, and maybe some strong winds as it comes across. Now, it's only about a 30 to 40% risk, so there's better than a flip of the coin chance that this won't happen quite like this, or the system may not be quite as intense as that. But it is important that we do alert you to the fact that, yeah, there is a reasonable chance there that we do see a Coral Sea trough or low coming onto the coastline. And once again, the timing there, the weekend is what we're looking for. Probably around Sunday would be the best guess estimate. All right. When it comes to rainfall, we would see a significant amount of rain on the south side like we normally do with these things. But as I said, it's going to be a burst of rain. It's not going to be a prolonged period of rain. So there'll be one big rain day. All right. So you can see there, up until then, it's just showers and storms, showers and storms. We've got a pretty unsettled week for North Queensland, but that's nothing to do with this thing. All right. That's a completely separate issue. All right. So we do have, as that low comes across, or trough, it might not be a low, it might just be a trough. As that trough comes across, just on the southern side of it, you can see there some pretty significantly intense rain, especially as we come up against the mountain ranges. So once that little low and trough hit the mountain range, we bring that easterly flow in and we squeeze it both because of the low and the trough and then also because of the mountain ranges. So there'll be a burst of heavy rain there for about 12 hours or so as it comes across, and then it'll just continue pushing across into the Gulf of Carpentaria and potentially just die somewhere around northern inland Queensland or in the Gulf. So that's the expectation at this stage for this thing. As I say, we're not overly concerned for it becoming a tropical cyclone. I think it's about a 10% risk of that. So at this point in time, that's what we're looking for, folks. And I'll just give you a quick look here at what this looks like. You can see the initial development, the initialisation of the system. It pushes eastwards until Tuesday night, Wednesday. And then from Wednesday, it starts to move west. You can see all these dots out here in the northern Coral Sea. They start moving basically unanimously towards the coastline. All right, so there's not much doubt that it's going to come towards the coast. The doubt is what it's going to be. Is it just going to be a trough? Is it going to be a low? How much weather is it producing on that southern side? All question marks, not too many answers there at this stage. One thing we're not seeing evidence of, and I think we're only seeing how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 50 models suggesting that this is going to be a tropical cyclone. All right, so for now, that's what we're looking for here. System tracking westwards, pretty clear there. There's clear evidence in the Coral Sea that that any motion of any systems out in the Coral Sea will move west. We've got a fairly strong mid-level ridge. Nothing's going to stop that from moving west, all right? The big thing, though, that you've got to understand is there's nothing there to make it spin into a cyclone. There's nothing there at the moment that suggests that the thing should become a cyclone at any stage. We're just talking about a bit of rain and a bit of wind, okay? So just be aware of that for your weekend. Don't go planning anything Sunday at this stage, even if it's not a low. You know, it's one of those situations where it's going to cause a lot of rain anyway, all right? Even if it's just a trough, we're going to see a lot of shower activity there over the weekend up there in North Queensland. So don't go planning anything outdoorsy for North Queensland this weekend would be my tip at this early stage of the week. I'll let you know Wednesday how we're travelling with it, but yeah, that would be my tip. And as I say, I wouldn't be concerned. I would hate to think people are wrapping themselves up in toilet paper and eating milk sandwiches over this, all right? Because if you're doing that, bud, Darwinism really needs to take you. You really shouldn't be panicking over something like this, all right? Okay, so that's that system. We've covered that. Let's get over to the main event. All right, the main event is this one here. Now, with this system, what we're going to see is a very slow motion, if anything, a little bit east today. So a little bit east today, and then as we go through the week, we're going to start to move this system to the west. All right, now, this rate of motion, remember we talked about this 3 nights ago. We talked about the speed of motion being so important with this thing. So if we take a look at, let's just use these models, which accelerate it to the east. To the west, sorry. Notice that in most of these models, the system is missing the coast and missing the coast considerably. All right, so the ones that push it west quickly continue to push it west quickly, and it misses the coastline in the majority of those model members. The ones that we're more interested in, and the ones that look a little bit more likely to verify, the ones that push it either moderately, which are these ones, we see a system that comes back at the coastline. All right, so the ones that push the system moderately to the west, i.e. 10 to 15 kilometres an hour to the west, not 20 to 30 kilometres an hour to the west, those models do have a slightly more concerning aspect of this, right? So you can see that in those models, we've got a system that gets off the coast around Thursday night or even Friday morning, and it stays out to sea till around about Saturday night, Sunday, and then comes hurtling back at the coastline, all right? And in the majority of model members, not everyone, some of them still move it out west, but in the majority of model members, we pull the system back onto the coast, generally as a weaker end cyclone. So we're talking about Category 1, maybe Category 2, might even be a low if it doesn't have enough time over water. So if one of these verifies, might only be a low. The ones on the other end of the spectrum are these ones here, where the system moves a lot slower. So if we highlight those models here that pull the system slower, you'll notice those ones are either hitting the coast or staying well inland of the coast. So there's a little bit of doubt there. If the system doesn't show any sign of wanting to push west till, say, Thursday, there's even a risk there that it doesn't make the coast. Although, At this stage, the most likely solution is the moderate solution. And the moderate solution calls for a system that gets off the coast and then comes back at the Pilbara region. If we take a look at the experimental model suit, we can see in general, the experimental model suit here have a moderate scenario where the system is here. And you can see in the majority of those model members, we're pulling the system to the west, getting it off the coast for a couple of, maybe a day or so, and then bringing it into the Pilbara without any rapid intensification rate here. I think that's an important factor here. We're not seeing evidence of rapid intensification of the system if it does get out to sea. And I say if because there are still a number of models that keep it on land. All right, so the intensification rate is gradual, and the system doesn't have a long time to play in its little sandbox out here, all right? So it doesn't have a lot of time over water. And if it does have a lot of time over water, it means it's moved too far to the west to impact us anyway. So this is what we're expecting with this particular system, is generally a westerly motion, nothing today, nothing tomorrow. It's not going to do anything today and tomorrow. It's just going to sit there. And then from Wednesday, it's going to start to move westwards. All right, and then it's going to accelerate westwards, getting off the coast of Broome and Derby, and then pushing down, and then eventually, likely at this stage, given current model evidence, to get off the coast for a little bit, intensify slightly, and then come onto the coast in the Pilbara. I know there's people crying out for rain around Headland and Karratha, so they'll be hoping against hope that this will take place. I'm sure they can handle a weak cyclone, and I'm sure they would definitely want the rain out of this. Let's have a look at what that looks like on a computer model. And we'll start with we'll start with the NT because it's all happening up there at the moment. So we need to talk quickly about their monsoonal goodness and all their stuff that's going on at the moment through the NT. Right, so you can see quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity going on through the NT with some really strong thunderstorms at the moment around the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf region. Our low pressure system is in the northeastern edge of the Gregory district. As we continue watching what happens here with our low, we can see a slight eastward motion. See that tonight? Just a slight eastward motion, just another 50 k's or so. And then we sort of sit and play tomorrow. We just sit in the same spot, driving the same weather over the NT tomorrow that they had today. All right, so lots of showers and storms, top end, and even south of the circulation, with some locally heavy rainfall near the circulation, particularly on the northern and eastern side. From there, as we move through Wednesday, we start to see the system moving to the west. There it is there. So see that? Takes until Wednesday before it does that. So Monday, Tuesday, sits in play, lots of rainfall. So up until the time it starts moving, expecting to see rainfall in the 200 to 300 millimetre range on the eastern side of that circulation. You can see there, heaviest falls at this stage south of Darwin over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours while the system's stuck where it is. If it was a little bit further north, Darwin would be in the thick of things, but they're not because the system's just a little too far south. All right, so that means that from here, the system is then going to push in a westerly direction, and it will contract and take the rain away to the west. In its wake, what we're going to see is a quick decrease in the monsoon intensity. So the monsoon is quite strong at the moment across the top end, lots of gusty winds, lots of big waves, and lots of heavy rainfall from showers and gusty thunderstorms. That will quickly ease on Wednesday after the system moves to the west. All right, and I mean quickly ease. That will ease back really fast. That monsoon, because the monsoon is in its last legs now, so it's about to die. And this is, once again, when we go back to the Queensland low, this is one of the reasons why we're not overly concerned about the Queensland low, is because the idea is that there's not really a monsoon feeding it. There's not going to be much of a flow from the north feeding it. It's going to be pretty difficult for that to become a cyclone, right? So as we continue now into Western Australia and we look at the potential here for WA, I'm going to change models because I like this version a little bit more, and I see this version verifying a little bit more. This is the ECAI model, and so we got the same, nothing changes here for the first couple of days, all right? So we move the system to the west from Wednesday. We get it over to Thursday night. We get it over to Broome. You can see there we're getting showers and thunderstorms throughout the Kimberley as it pushes westwards. Nothing in the Pilbara at this stage. but some heavy showers and some gusty thunderstorms on the western side of that circulation, with the possibility of some heavy rain developing on that northwestern flank. So our low gets off the coast right over the Dampier Peninsula, basically on Broom's doorstep or Derby's doorstep, one of those two areas. From there, the system will move a little bit further westwards or west-southwestwards, and you can see here that the rain signature associated, you can't really see the isobars because the model keeps it relatively weak, and then you can see there that the system comes onto the coast between Port Hedland and Karratha. I'll give you a quick look at the 950 winds to get you a better idea at exactly what happens there. So you can see that the system comes west on Wednesday, through the coastline Thursday into Thursday night, and then Friday it's out to sea, and then on Saturday or Sunday it comes back into land. All right, and you'll notice there, as I mentioned, not a real sharp rate of intensification. And one of the things that makes us think that is that it may be attached to a trough system, a surface trough system to the southwest of it. So that surface trough may also be creating an area where it's stopping the cyclone from being able to pull all that air mass around it into the centre of circulation. And so that could be a limiting factor for the cyclone's intensification once over water. May not be too much of a limit here up around Broome, but as it moves closer to the Pilbara, see how we're developing that secondary trough here? Yeah, so that becomes our issue as the system pushes in towards Hedland and Karratha. And that's why we're not seeing, normally in this type of setup, we would be seeing significant sort of intensification very quickly, right? But because of that secondary trough that's located to the west of the system, that rate of intensification might be actually quite slow. Not saying it can't intensify, just saying that the rate of intensification will be slow. So if it only has 24 hours over water, you know, it might not be able to make it into a TC. All right, and then it comes onto the Pilbara, and then from there, we're anticipating basically the thing to wash out somewhere around the inland Pilbara. Not anticipating it to move right across the nation at this stage, unless it gets a lot stronger than it's being forecast to be. If it gets a lot stronger than it's being forecast to be, there is a hint there that it might get caught in an upper trough, and at least some of the moisture be transported over to the east. So, but for now, it looks as though its effects will be limited to WA, and you can see there that the overall estimate here is that we do get some reasonable rain out of it, but it's not going to be absolutely drought breaking. So because the system at this stage probably a little weak, maybe not quite as well structured as a normal cyclone would be, that's why we don't see the sort of rainfall estimate that a normal cyclone would produce. But still some nice rain potential there for particularly the eastern half of the Pilbara, looking more positive than the west at this stage. But there's certainly some nice rainfall potential there over the weekend into early next week as the system tracks inland and then sort of dies through WA. All right, so that's the expectation. And look, there are varying solutions. So I'll give you a look at our best numerical weather prediction model. And this is the Euro model. And it shows a system passing harmlessly out to sea and the remnants staying out to sea. But you'll notice there the system's a lot more put together. And so because it is a lot more put together, it's creating a lot more weather over the Let's try that again with just the cyclone. It's creating a fair bit more weather over the Pilbara as well. So it's creating lots of showers and thunderstorms because it's tracking offshore, but it's tracking close enough to the coastline to allow for widespread shower and thunderstorm development. So, you know, that's not a terrible scenario as long as the cyclone stays close to the coastline, all right? So as long as it doesn't decide to just duck off Broome and continue tracking out here, where it's not going to provide any rain for anyone, you're getting some rain in this setup. It's just going to be a little patchier than I think the model's suggesting. So that's the problem with this setup. The problem with the setup of the cyclone hitting the coast is that it's not very well structured. It's not very strong at the time when it does hit the coast. And so the rainfall potential of the system, if it hits the coast, not quite as high. And the other thing that the cyclone doesn't have is it doesn't have a direct line to the monsoon. So one of the things we see with WA cyclones is when they detach from the monsoon, they don't tend to produce as strong a rainfall footprint. So what we see here is, notice there on the north side of the circulation. So while it's in the NT, you can see that monsoon to the north, right? So see that westerly flow right up around Darwin. So it's got beautiful moisture flow into the circulation there. As it starts to move west, see how it loses that moisture flow? So see how the northern side, there's no longer really a monsoon anymore. So the monsoon really dies quickly over Australia over the course of the next couple of days. And so as the system's tracking west, it's not ingesting all that moist air from the deep tropics anymore. So this is a problem when it comes to rainfall production. And when we go back to this and we look at the actual rainfall production for the Kimberley, you'll notice it's nothing like what it was for the top end and for the NT in general, right? So the rainfall production in the NT much higher than what the system has the capability of producing over the Kimberley at this stage. Once again, the structure to the north breaks down. The monsoon to the north breaks down, and because of that, we see evidence that the rainfall may not be quite as spectacular as we've come to expect from cyclones in this area. Alrighty, so that's our three systems. We've got the southeast Queensland damaging winds tomorrow night. We've got the North Queensland, the North Queensland Coral Sea Trough and low, and we've got the WANT low/cyclone over the course of the next week. That's all I've got for you. Just a reminder, folks, if you'd like to subscribe, head over to weatheriq.com.au/subscribe, and we've got our subscription start at $32.95 a year for our basic forecast service, and you get all my forecasts with that one. And there's some extras there and some goodies there with our main and probably most popular subscription is the $69.95 because that gives you all the weather graphics and stuff. Right, let's take some questions. Let's go. We'll go to YouTube first, and we'll see what we've got questions-wise here on YouTube. Evening Nitso says Dragon. Evening Dragon. Nitrogen looking smoking tonight. I think that means Nitso, but I'll take it. Thanks, mate. Sassy. Howdy, Nitso and Weather Watchers. Hey, Sass. I think Sassy's from Cairns, if I recall. Sassy's a regular with us. Yeah, so Cairns is looking interesting, Sassy. Keep an eye on that little trophy low towards the end of the week there. Cairns should get some nice rain out of that. Fingers crossed. All right. Let's go through some of our Facebook questions. Dragon, MC Swiss. Good evening. Good evening, MC. What do we got here? Jesse, what are the winds for the Whitsundays region with the thunderstorms coming in? Let's have a look. I don't think there's anything too dramatic there for the Whitsundays wind-wise. Let's have a look. What's going on right now? Is there thunderstorms coming in? Doesn't look like there's thunderstorms coming in. I wasn't forecasting thunderstorms for the Whitsundays today. I hope there's not thunderstorms coming in. No, there's no thunderstorms coming in. But I'm assuming you're talking about maybe when that big southeasterly goes through southeast Queensland. So let's have a look. We'll have a look here at the Euro. We'll look at surface winds. Jesse, we've got a strong southeaster coming through Monday night, Tuesday morning. 20 knots on the waters, 15 knots over the mainland. Sure, there might be some gusts getting up to, what do we got here? 25s? Yeah, 25 knots. Gusts out to 25 knots, and maybe as the week goes on, we might be able to snag 30 knots out of that, right? So as that little trough in the Coral Sea develops and starts moving westwards, we might be able to snag ourselves some slightly bigger winds as the week goes on, mate, but nothing there that you're not used to in the Whitsundays, that's for sure. And interestingly, from a Mackay perspective, Mackay Whitsundays, we do see an increase in shower activity here over the course of the next few days. So you'll start to see some showers from Tuesday morning around Mackay, and then they'll extend up towards the Whitsundays as we get through Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You'll see quite a showery little period here for a couple of days at least, and then the trough in the Coral Sea will probably take a fair bit of that shower activity and push it a little further northwards up towards the Rolling Stone to Cairns area, depending exactly where that trough comes onto the coast as we get into the weekend. But yeah, mate, I wouldn't be expecting too much with regards to winds. We're not looking at severe thunderstorms. It's just more of a case of showers and some significant rainfall potential, though. You can see total accumulated rain for the week. Yeah, over 100 mils is expected on that Mackay coastline. It's not too bad at all. And some of that will extend to the Whitsundays. All right, thanks for your question, Jess. Gary, g'day Nitso. Left heavy rain in Darwin this morning, in Bali for the week, and head back to Port Douglas on the boat for the weekend. Yeah, keep an eye on that, Gary. That low, half your luck being in Bali this time. Beautiful. The low in the Coral Sea. Listen, it's not something I'd be too concerned about. As I said, I said to our subscribers now for a number of days, there's the one thing that makes us talk about this a bit more than we would normally is the fact that it's occurring right at a lifting phase of an equatorial Rossby wave. So an equatorial Rossby wave is a planetary wave that originates in the tropics and that propagates, moves from east to west. And so in those waves, there's a phase where it lifts the air and there's another phase where it descends the air, so it makes it more stable. And we've got an unstable phase of that wave coming across at the same time as this low is forming on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and it continues tracking across. And so that's what that's what makes us slightly interested in it. But from an atmospheric dynamics type situation, it looks weak as piss up there. It really doesn't look all that strong at all. And so I don't think the equatorial Rossby wave can do all the heavy lifting. I mean, sure, it's going to do a little bit of lifting, and that's why we see the low forming, but is it going to be able to sustain it all the way to the coast? Probably not. Is it going to be able to excite the atmosphere enough to make it into a cyclone? Almost surely not. But listen, I remember in 2015 we had a cyclone that formed out of nothing. It was called Marsha. Formed out of absolutely nothing. It was just a Rossby wave, weak dynamics, similar to this, and it just went crazy. And the Rossby wave was the catalyst for it all. So it was one of those things where we were looking at it 6-7 days out, and I think one of the models had it as a category 1. The rest didn't even want to know about it. And then suddenly 3 or 4 days out, we're going, oh, hang on, this thing's going to bomb. And then it did. And as you know, the rest is history. Cat 5 across the coast, just north of Yeppoon. So the idea here, I'm not saying that this is a Cat 5, by the way, but what the idea here is that catalyst that created that from nothing is the same catalyst that's creating nothing. Is the same catalyst that's creating this from nothing. So we can't just outright go, nothing to see here, forget about it, don't listen to anything. It's one of those situations we do just need to watch. Now, I'm pretty confident we're not going to see anything of significance outside of rain, but I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee that because of that equatorial wave. So, yeah, keep an eye on it, Gary. David, toilet paper will be sold out in cans. Oh, geez, I'll tell you, as I say, if you're buying toilet paper and wrapping yourself up and eating milk sandwiches, you probably deserve to get hit by a cyclone or whatever. Goodness me. For something like this, really? Yeah, but I know what you mean, David. They go silly. You don't see this sort of... Oh, no, you do in WA, but only when there's a fair income cyclone, like not when there's a weak circulation that might be a low, might be a trough. In WA, when they go off for a reason because they're fair income proper cyclones. What is the rainfall around Rolling Stone south to Townsville? Hey, Kath. Yeah, mate, not much. I'm not seeing there. Look, we're going to get some showers for sure. We'll go to Townsville. Townsville's certainly not high on the list when it comes to interesting weather areas this week. But yeah, look, there's some shower activity. I think what's our first day of showers? So there's a small chance at a little shower like there was today. There's a small chance at a little shower on the ranges, pretty close to the city. Tomorrow, let's try that again. Yeah, tomorrow. So Tuesday is the first day that we see some shower activity, some proper shower activity coming through, right? So Tuesday is where we see showers developing through the Townsville district. Nothing heavy, but 20 to 30 mils could happen in any one of these days and probably multiple days. Wednesday's here, you can see significant shower activity again. Thursday's another day of probably our heaviest shower activity on Thursday or Friday, and it does depend a little bit on that little low and trough from the Coral Sea. If it hits more around Tully, well, this area could see some pretty significant rain over the weekend, mate. But at this stage, I would expect to see that heavier rain north of us. But you can see that Thursday, Friday look very, very showery for the Townsville to Rolling Stone coastline on Thursday, Friday. And then as we go into Saturday, it looks as though it tries to contract a little closer to where that low hits. But if that low hits a little further south, then that contraction won't be quite as what you're seeing there. All right, and I think we've got reasonable agreement there in the AI modelling. Let's see that. So Monday, yeah, just an isolated shower around the ranges. Tuesday, we see, yep, the start of those showers. You can see a little bit showery, nothing too dramatic there Tuesday. Wednesday, we see a few more showers, a little bit extra shower activity. And it's not just Townsville, it's the whole region. And then Thursday and Friday, I suspect, is when we're seeing our best. Yeah, once again, Thursday, you see that increased rainfall risk in particularly just north of Townsville. And then on Friday, we see that rainfall risk once again, particularly just north of Townsville. And we could see some moderate to heavy falls on those days to the north of Townsville particularly. But Townsville itself will see some showers from that stuff. And then on the weekend, well, we'll have to keep an eye on that trophy low from the Coral Sea, see what that's doing. Okay. Sassy. Oh yes, we've done that one. Will the Pilbara get rain? Eula, it's a good question, Eula. And we did talk about the Pilbara, and you're very much dependent on exactly what this cyclone does, because if it doesn't get off the coast of Broome, then we're not going to see a lot of rain through the Pilbara. If it does get off the coast of Broome, then it's a case of you're going to get rain in the Pilbara, then we just got to decide how much. So if the cyclone continues west and stays off the coast, well then we'll all get a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. So we all get some rain. If the cyclone comes off and then comes onto the coast, which is what I'm thinking will happen, so it comes off around Broome and then comes onto the coast around the Pilbara, probably east of Karratha. We would then see on the eastern side of that circulation some pretty decent rainfall, but not quite the rainfall that we normally expect from a cyclone. Normally, we would see these numbers closer to 200, 300, 400 millimetres on a properly formed cyclone with a monsoon attached. Because there's no monsoon attached, and because the cyclone will more than likely be quite weak if it hits this area, we may not necessarily see the numbers that we're used to. The earliest onset of any rainfall in the Pilbara will be the weekend, so we wouldn't see any significant rainfall until, I suspect, Saturday. We might see some shower activity over the far eastern Pilbara on Friday, and maybe a gusty storm for Headland on Friday, but Saturday would be the first day that we see some reasonable rain for the Pilbara, if we're getting it. And to get it, we need to get the cyclone off the coast. Okay? Yep, so Jesse, probably not much, mate. I think we just talked about the Whitsundays just before there, didn't we? I'll just have another look there. Yeah, the low isn't your concern, Jesse. The low is the concern of areas further north of you. What we would probably see is just a couple of showers, mate, to be honest. There's not really much there with regards to that low and any impact for you. So your period of weather down there in the Whitsundays is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. After that, it all goes north, right? So and assuming the low does, or the trough, I shouldn't call it a low because it might not even be a low. That trough will probably hit well north of you. So if it is just a trough, then we're probably not going to see much. If it suddenly bombs into a cyclone, we would see a significant increase in showers. We wouldn't see flooding rain, just an increase in showers. And you're still going to see 20 to 30 knot winds anyway, all right? Whether it's a trough or whether it's a cyclone, 20 to 30 knot winds is probably what I'd be maxing out at for the Whitsundays. This isn't a Whitsundays event, mate, so just be aware that we're not realistically looking at heavy rain for the Whitsundays from this Coral Sea thing, okay? Matt, hey Nitso, got my iWall Pro subscription. How do I claim my free Cairns Cyclone? Haven't received it yet. Yes. Yeah, I don't think this one's going to be it, mate. But anyway, hopefully you'll get a bit of shower activity out of it. It's about as much as you can get in Cairns this season. It's been rain to the north of you, rain to the south, and Cairns has sort of been stuck in the middle with not a hell of a lot to show for it. Yeah, I'm not as I say, mate, we'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not seeing cyclone vibes out of this one. 10, drowning in Adelaide River. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. There's been some good rainfall there. Let's have a look at for Adelaide River. Yeah, let's have. Goodness me. Good on you, Nitso. And let's have a look at radar-derived rainfall from Darwin. I think we'll get Adelaide River in there, won't we? So that's the last 24 hours of rainfall, radar-derived rainfall. Yeah, and you can see there, the area around Adelaide River has seen 50 plus millimetres in the last 24 hours. And actually, just interestingly, I'm just wondering how we've gone over the last 3 or 4 days. We've seen well over look at that, 100 to 200 millimetres through Adelaide River area. So there's been, you're absolutely spot on, mate. You've been caned over the last few days in Adelaide River because you're on the northwestern side of that low, and we've got a fairly strong monsoon attached, right? So this is the area that we're going to see lots of rain in tomorrow as well. So, and the next day potentially, because the system's not going anywhere. So that area of heavy rain is going to be south of Darwin primarily over the next few days. So, you're definitely in the firing line for further heavy rainfall in Adelaide River. Fee, originally from Orange many years ago, second summer in the Burdekin, still not used to this humidity. I think it's going to... will it get worse? It's going to get cloudy and showery, so that might be better. Better for your Fee, but that southeasterly might cool the Burdekin down a bit as the week goes on. But yeah, I can definitely, there's definitely a difference between Orange and the Burdekin. Rebecca, anything for Mount Isa? No, I don't think so. Oh, no, sorry. Yes, there is. Yeah, good question, mate. There's a lot of storm activity out around the Isa over the next few days. I just want to show you this chart. This is called a Showalter Index chart. One of the many charts, by the way, we've got in our subscription service, if you're interested. This tells us how unstable the atmosphere is. All right, and we can see that from tonight, we start to develop, well, from this afternoon into this evening, we start to develop some instability around the Isa. So this means that we're a chance. So every time we're in the blue, we're a chance at picking up something. When we're in the orange and reds, that's some really strong instability. And this is where we see our strong thunderstorms. And you can see there tomorrow, we've got that orangey colour right over the top of the Isa. So yeah, plenty of opportunities for thunderstorms over the next few days for the Isa. So Monday's a really good chance. Tuesday, you'll see once again, you're very close to the orange. So you're not quite over the orange, but you're very close to it. And there's quite a bit of orange. So there's once again, and you're close to a boundary line. So Mount Isa, a really good chance on Tuesday as well. And then as we go into Wednesday, you can still see that there's a lot of instability. You're just not as close to the boundary lines on Wednesday. So you're going to need a bit more luck on Wednesday. Whereas Monday, Tuesday, you're very close to the boundary lines there around the Isa. And then as we go through the back end of the week, you can see that we're still in the blue for Mount Isa for an extended period of time here. It's not quite as intense, but there's opportunities for thunderstorms throughout the week. Not one day this week does Mount Isa go through the week, go through a day where there's no chance of thunderstorm activity. And the total accumulated precip reflects that. So you can see it's not cows floating down river rain, but it's green grass rain. All right, so 20 to 50 mils for the week would be expected, and not just for Mount Isa, for the entire sort of district potentially. But on any particular day, you've got a chance at missing out. And the other thing I wouldn't mind showing you here for Mount Isa is, let's go over here, just to give you a quick look at the so what we use these for, this is lightning flash density diagrams. And what we use these for isn't to see exactly where the storms are going to be, because they're always wrong, okay? But, well, I shouldn't say always, they're often wrong. So what we're looking for, though, is the intensity of storms, because we know we can't get storms right ahead of time, not very well anyway. But what we do want to know is how strong are those storms going to be if and when they get to us. And what we can see here is when we start to get those purple, those really purple colours, that means that these storms are going to be quite intense. And you can see tomorrow, There's some pretty intense storms just south of Mount Isa and out towards Julia Creek. And then overnight, tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, see how we get those storms come right through the Isa as one of those boundary lines. Remember how I said you're pretty close to boundary lines? So you get a nice little boundary line pushed through the Isa there on Monday night, Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon, once again, there's chances of storms right across the region. If you don't get one in the afternoon, you're a really good chance to get one overnight. And so you can see there that there is quite a bit of potential for strong thunderstorm activity. It's not world-beating stuff, but it's certainly enough there to keep you interested if you're a weather watcher in Mount Isa and you like your storms. There's enough around. You only need to go a little bit of a trip south, north, east or west at any particular day to see some good storms about. And as I say, as luck would have it, you should be getting hit by 2 or 3 for the week at least. Okay? So that's Mount Isa for the week, mate. Heavy rain for Palm Island, Dave. Probably, I wouldn't say heavy rain, but definitely rain coming for Palm. Let's have a look at Palm. Palm Island is an island just off the coast of Ingham. Ingham. Where's our Ingham overlay, Nitso? And yeah, so yeah, you can definitely see that, Dave. We've got some pretty heavy rain coming this week, and I think the big day for rain for Palm, or the big day. So today, not much there, right? Monday, not much there. Nothing to worry about there Monday. Tuesday's the first day where we see a little bit of rainfall around Palm, just from showers, just a shower or two. Wednesday's when we start to see, Wednesday's another day of just a shower or two. Thursday is when we start to see our heavier rainfall around Palm. So we've gone from a shower or two to lots of showers on Thursday. Okay, so nothing today, nothing tomorrow, shower or two Tuesday, shower or two Wednesday, heavy showers, lots of them on Thursday, and then into Friday we see the same sort of thing. Heavy showers, lots of them. And then for Saturday and Sunday, we just got to wait and see what that low does up north, right? That little trough. If that just comes onto the coast up around Cooktown, the rain will move north of Palm. But if it comes down, say, around Innisfail or Tully, there could be another day of heavy rainfall around the Palm group. Okay, so something to just be aware of, Dave. So back end of the week, mate, fair bit of rain for you. Good to see you back, Dave. Helen, Charters Towers. Yeah, a little bit of storm activity for Charters Towers. I think that's about it, mate. There's not much there for us to sink our teeth into for the towers. A lot of the storms are in fact probably going to be just northwest of the towers, up there in that higher country area, northwest of Charters Towers. That's where a lot of these sort of marginal storm days happen. Let me go back to this chart just to give you an idea. Oop, what am I doing there, Nitso? Wrong screen. All right, so with Charters Towers, listen, it's going to be hit and miss activity, right? So it's going to be good luck if you get it, bad luck if you don't type storm. So that's what I mean there about northwest of Charters Towers, right? Up there in the high country, the hilly country, there's a fair bit of chance for storm activity tomorrow, down around Torrens Creek, Hewenden, that area. As we continue into Tuesday, we see the same sort of thing, right? Not much chance of significant storms around Charters Towers. You might get a shower around the towers. As we go into Wednesday, we can see here southeasterly winds, maybe a shower around the towers. Thursday, same sort of thing. Maybe a shower, maybe some heavy showers on Thursday around Charters Towers, mate. But look, you're certainly not a focal point of attention for the week. We're certainly seeing some heavier rainfall on the coast, and we're also seeing some really strong thunderstorms out west, where you're sort of in the middle of both of those. You're not getting a lot of one, and you're not getting a lot of the other. So it's where Charters Towers has often found itself this season, where there's been some really good rain east of them, really good rain west of Pentland, and Charters Towers have sort of been stuck in the middle. And I think the same thing's going to happen this week for you, mate. You're going to be stuck somewhere in the middle here, between some decent rain on the coast, some really nice rain out west, and yeah, you're just gonna get a couple of showers. And as I say, Thursday is probably the day where you might see the most of them. So here's Thursday for you. You can see quite a few showers there, and especially through the afternoon into the evening. So Thursday, if I'm targeting a day, I'm targeting Thursday. I reckon Friday, the model might be a little too aggressive there. I think most of the heavier rain will shift northwards of you on Friday. Okay? Julie, just with Townsville, I think we've already spoken about Townsville. You'll have to go back. I'm not going to say it again. You'll have to go back a few minutes, mate. We've already talked about the Townsville area. I think we talked about Townsville to Rolling Stone in particular. So I'll leave that with you. You can check back there. I'm done for the night. So, folks, if you do want to support what we do, head over to weatheriq.com.au/subscribe. Join us, $32.95 a year. You get all our forecasts. I'll be back with you in 3 nights' time.